Hello, my name is Gene Dougherty, and my dissertation examines how Irish immigrants in Philadelphia used the Catholic parochial school system between 1850 and 1920 to preserve their religious faith and cultural identity while navigating pressures to assimilate into American society. During the 19th century, Irish immigrants became one of the largest immigrant populations in American cities, and their arrival significantly reshaped both urban society and Catholic Church in the United States. In Philadelphia, the rapid growth of Irish Catholic communities led to the expansion of parishes, charitable institutions, and particularly parochial schools. This study investigates how these schools function not only as educational institutions, but also as cultural spaces where Irish immigrants transmitted religious beliefs, social values, and ethnic identity to the next generation. The central problem addressed in this dissertation emerges from the religious and cultural tensions faced by Irish immigrants in the 19th century America. Public schools at the time often reflected Protestant religious assumptions, including the reading of the King James Bible and Protestant devotional practices. Many Catholic leaders believed these practices threatened the religious formation of Catholic children. As a result, Catholic bishops and parishes increasingly advocated for the development of separate Catholic schools. However, historians continue to debate whether these schools were primarily created as defensive institutions designed to protect Catholic identity, or whether they also functioned as adoptive institutions that helped immigrants integrate into American society. Understanding how these schools operated within immigrant communities helps illuminate the broader relationship between religion, immigration, and education in American history. The central research question guiding this project is how did the Catholic parochial school system in the Archdiocese of Philadelphia help Irish immigrants preserve their religious and cultural identity while simultaneously enabling them to participate in American life? By focusing specifically on Philadelphia, this study explores how educational institutions became critical sites where immigrant communities negotiated the balance between maintaining cultural traditions and adapting to social expectations of American society. This question also helps situate Catholic education within larger discussions about assimilation, pluralism, and the identity formation among immigrant populations. To answer these larger questions, the dissertation examines several related sub-questions. First, were parochial schools primarily defensive institutions intended to shield Catholic children from Protestant influence in public schools? Second, which actors played the most important roles in shaping the development of these schools? While bishops often appear prominently in institutional histories, the daily operations of schools depended heavily on religious sisters and local lay communities. Finally, how did Catholic education shape the civic and cultural identity of second generation Irish Americans who were growing up at the intersection of Irish Catholic traditions and American society? Together, these questions help reveal the complex role of education in immigrant community life. The historical context of this study is closely tied to the massive wave of Irish immigration that followed the Great Famine of the 1840s. Between the mid 19th and early 20th centuries, millions of Irish immigrants arrived in American cities. In Philadelphia, Irish immigrants quickly established dense urban communities centered around Catholic parishes. At the same time, Irish Catholics often faced hostility and discrimination from nativist groups who viewed Catholicism as incompatible with American Republican values. In this environment, Catholic institutions, including churches, charities, and especially schools, became critical mechanisms through which Irish immigrants preserved their religious identity while establishing stable communities in the United States. Philadelphia provides an especially valuable case study because of its large and well-documented Irish population. Irish immigrants settled in neighborhoods such as Kensington, Southwark, and other working-class districts throughout the city. Within these neighborhoods, Catholic parishes served as central institutions of community life. They provided not only religious services, but also social support networks, charitable assistance, and educational opportunities. Parish schools played an essential role within the structure by educating children within the framework that reinforced Catholic doctrine while also maintaining cultural traditions and communal solidarity among Irish immigrants. This project builds upon an important body of scholarship examining Irish immigration, American Catholicism, and Catholic education. Historian Dennis Clark provided one of the most influential studies of Irish Philadelphia, demonstrating how Irish immigrants created vibrant ethnic communities centered around parish life. J.P. Dolan's work on American Catholicism highlights how immigrant groups transformed the Catholic Church into major institutional presence in the United States. Lawrence J. McCaffrey has worked extensively covering the Irish American experience. And Kirby A. Miller wrote the seminal piece on Irish immigration. Despite this rich scholarship, historians continue to debate the fundamental purpose of Catholic parochial schools. Some scholars interpret them primarily as defensive institutions designed to protect Catholic children from Protestant influences in public education. Others emphasize their adaptive role, arguing that Catholic schools helped immigrant communities navigate American society and prepare children for participation in civic life. Most historians today recognize that both interpretations contain elements of the truth. However, the balance between these functions remains an open question, particularly at the local level. While historians have examined Irish immigration and Catholic education extensively, several gaps remain in the scholarship. First, many studies focus on national developments rather than examining how Catholic schools function within dioceses or immigrant communities. Second, schools are often discussed primarily as educational institutions rather than as cultural spaces where ethnic identity was transmitted across generations. Finally, the roles of religious sisters and lay parishioners in shaping Catholic education have sometimes received less attention than leadership of bishops. This dissertation addresses these gaps by focusing on the local experience of Irish Catholics in Philadelphia and by examining how multiple actors contributed to the development of parochial education. This project relies on a diverse collection of primary sources drawn from both ecclesiastical and local archives. These include records from the Archdiocese of Philadelphia, including pastoral letters, diocesan educational reports, and administrative correspondence. Parish school records and enrollment reports provide insight into how schools operated on a daily basis and how many children attended them. Catholic newspapers, particularly the Catholic Standard and Times, reveal how Catholic leaders and lay communities publicly discussed education and religious identity. Finally, records from religious teaching orders, such as the Sisters of Mercy and the Sisters of St. Joseph, provide important perspectives on the individuals who staffed and operated many of these schools. Methodologically, this dissertation combines institutional history with social and cultural analysis. Institutional analysis allows the project to examine how the Catholic Church developed an extensive educational system in response to the perceived challenges of Protestant public schooling. Social and cultural historical approaches help reveal how immigrant communities use these institutions to reinforce shared values, religious traditions, and ethnic identity. In addition, the study compares Catholic educational practices with the broader public school system in order to better understand why Catholic leaders believed separate schools were necessary. This multi-layered approach allows the dissertation to explore both institutional development and community experience. In conclusion, this dissertation contributes to several important fields of historical scholarship. First, it bridges the fields of immigration, history, and American religious history by examining how educational institutions shaped immigrant identity. Second, it reassesses the historiography debate over whether Catholic schools were primarily defensive or adaptive institutions by demonstrating that they perform both functions and simultaneously. Finally, it highlights the agency of multiple actors, including bishops, religious sisters, and lay Catholics, in building the parochial school system. By examining the Catholic education in Philadelphia more closely, this study offers new insight into how Irish immigrants preserved their religious and cultural identity while also becoming active participants in American civic life. Thank you.